Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our event. I'm Bob Beitcher, and I'm the CEO of MPTF. I'm here this morning in the Susan and Gary Martin screening room at the Louis B. Mayer Theater on the iconic Motion Picture Home campus. When Jen Clymer, executive producer of MPTF Studios, realized that our 250 residents would be on a long-term lockdown, she and her wonderful crew developed a live-streamed interactive variety show, Creative Chaos, for our in-house cable channel. They've been on the air 4 days a week since March 2020. And just last week, Creative Chaos celebrated its 200th show. Incredible where taking care of your own can lead you. This is just one of the initiatives that makes MPTF a unique kind of place. Let me show you a trailer produced by Wondros that will tell you a little more about MPTF.
It started with a cash box, and for the next 100 years, the Motion Picture and Television Fund has been there for the people who made Hollywood possible.
So I just love the movies. I just get lost in the movies.
I love the storytelling. Animation is my home.
It's down-to-earth people.
It's the people behind the scenes that are invaluable to this industry.
We're all freelance workers, going from one project to another.
It's from gig to gig. It's really stressful. You may not know what your next job is.
But we're a family, a real family. We look out for one another.
MPTF is not just there for actors. They're not just there for retirees. They're there for everyone.
My husband, John, was diagnosed with ALS. Unfortunately, it rendered him unable to work pretty rapidly.
In the middle of the night, I saw a flame. I said, we got to get out of here. And it was an electrical fire.
My wife was pregnant and with our third child, and the writer's strike started during the summer. I was out of work.
We were really at a crossroads.
And I said, I think we better check out MPTF.
They kind of saved my life.
Ever since we've been here, I've just been overwhelmingly grateful.
I'm a single mom, so the daycare was so helpful. Can't believe they offer this.
It really afforded us our lives to be a family.
Every community needs a safety net. This vision of Mary Pickford of an industry taking care of its own is continuing 100 years later.
We all come together and support the people in our industry to get the help they need.
In our 100th anniversary, we want 100% participation from everybody in our business.
This is all of us together. We have to pay it forward.
It's been 100 years, and we're still doing everything we can to keep our members healthy, safe, and always creating. We've been there for them. Now, we need you to be there for us. Play your part today.
Wonderful. This morning, we have some pretty exciting news to share with you, and an amazing group of MPTF supporters to tell you all about it. As MPTF CEO, I have the true blessing of coming to our Wasserman campus in Woodland Hills every day and working alongside 500 or so other staff members whose sole mission is to make the lives of working and retired members of the entertainment industry better. They love their work and they love MPTF. And on Sunday night, they were honored with the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award at the Oscars. Our residents loved it as well. You can do a lot of searching on the internet, but I guarantee you won't find an organization like MPTF or an industry like ours that has sustained a very encompassing safety net for its workforce for 100 years. We say in our mission statement that we help people live and age well, with dignity and purpose, and that we provide a safety net of support in times of need. That's been true now for 100 years, but never more true than in the past 12 months, when we saw work in our industry for so many come to a full stop. You already know what that means for the freelance nomads that are the heart and soul of our business. No work, no pay, no work family, no structure. And it's never been more true than when we saw the terrors of this totally random and crazy health pandemics send our workforce into lockdown and trigger waves of social isolation and loneliness, stress and anxiety and depression, food insecurity, substance abuse, domestic abuse, and yes, in some cases, suicidal ideation. And finally, it's never been more true than when we witness the kind of impact and oppressive political climate, horrifying events on the streets of our country, and the appalling demographic data around the pandemic that just shouted out about inequality, the impact it had on many of our members. So much has been made of the digital transition to Zoom-type interactions during this pandemic. But the MPTF story is a little less technologically interesting, maybe, and a touch more human. In the past 12 months, a human voice at MPTF has connected with our industry workforce over 40,000 times through phone calls around financial assistance, through phone calls around the emotional pandemic symptomology I mentioned previously, and sometimes just through phone calls that were plain old-fashioned check-ins. Hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? Are there things that we could help you with? You'd be amazed, or maybe you wouldn't, at how impactful even those calls were during the pandemic, and how much we learned by listening, and then by how many actions we took to improve the lives of our call recipients. The calls were made by our social work staff of 28, by staff from other departments who volunteered to support them, and through industry volunteers who reached out to us saying, I want to help, but I don't know how. What can I do? MPTF's founder, Mary Pickford, said, we see a need and we fill it. And she was never more right than in 2020. And the need hasn't stopped, even with production going gangbusters. We continue to experience higher levels of inbound calls, and they're coming from a younger demographic. I know deep in my bones how important it is for MPTF to celebrate its 100th anniversary with an ambitious campaign led by no other than Jeffrey Katzenberg to unlock the financial resources, once again from our generous industry, to sustain MPTF for the next generations. The time is now. From creative chaos, over to you, Jeffrey.
So first, Bob, I want to thank you and the 500 incredibly dedicated staff at the MPTF for their extraordinary selfless work in this last year. We owe you and all of them such a debt of gratitude. So thank you so much. Today we celebrate 100 years of a great history at the MPTF. And I think it is an opportunity for us to look to the future. The success of the MPTF for the next generation is something that all of us on the board of directors and the board of governors of the MPTF are deeply focused, concerned, and excited for. Our job is to make sure that we pass the baton of the MPTF to the next generation in even better shape than we received it from our predecessors. To that end, we are launching what I think is an essential fundraising drive around our 100th anniversary celebration. So we are setting out over this next year to raise $300 million for the MPTF. $200 million of that will go towards our endowment, and that endowment allows us to ensure that we are well-financed and that we can continue to offer all of the great services, all of the social services, and do that with certainty in many, many years to come. The other $100 million is what we need to invest into the actual physical plant itself. It is a vital and important center of the MPTF and everything we do. It's much more than the campus that is there, obviously, for our amazing residents, but it is also the hub and the foundation of everything that the MPTF does. And so, Bob, maybe I'll pass it back to you for a moment to actually do a little show and tell of what that $100 million is going to go towards.
To share with you just a few select slides from the master planning we've started working on for the reimagining of our campus in Woodland Hills. These first few slides are renderings of the Kirk Douglas Care Pavilion, a 50-bed memory care unit that has an initial gift of $15 million from the estate of Kirk and Ann Douglas. We first announced this gift in 2015. This will be a state-of-the-art facility that incorporates a lot of the memory care innovations MPTF is already known for nationally. The existing building on this site is unoccupied, so there will be no disruption or dislocation. And it's a site with a slope on it, so there's outdoor access from the first and second floors, and then from the third floor through an elevator ride. The architects are Zaki and Wu, a leading firm in healthcare design. Just prior to the start of the COVID shutdown, we worked with the globally renowned architectural firm of Gensler to reposition and reimagine the residential campus. The next slides give you a sense of where we're going with this program. Our overall goal was to plan for the next generation of entertainment retirees with a village that offers an active lifestyle and connection to creativity and each other. We wanted to add density or additional capacity without touching the incredible openness and beautiful landscaping of the campus. So we are building up 2 to 3 stories on this part of the campus for the first time. We wanted to offer a variety of living options to appeal to a broad range of industry workers, including a younger demographic. And in some cases, we wanted to add units with more amenities. In this program, we have added more than 100 units as we are experiencing greater demand for retired workers who want to live in community with others from the entertainment industry. This first image, never mind the name, it's just a placeholder, is a 3-story assisted living building with 60 rooms. It has a set of amenities for assisted living that we're lacking today. The rooms are larger, many can accommodate couples, and we think the mid-century modern design is smashing. It includes a wellness studio and activities rooms, and on the 3rd floor, an activity zone that includes classrooms for continuing education and a small screening room. You've seen an image of what the lobby space would look like. The building would also contain a primary healthcare center for all residents on campus. The rest of the residential community features a range of lifestyle accommodations, including 1- and 2-story townhouses, mini apartments of different sizes and types. All of them have full kitchens and washer dryers. We're finding more and more that our residents find continuing purpose in cooking for themselves. And that's something we can't accommodate today, but would like to in the future. Each building type has a connection to the outdoors, either with garden space on the ground level or terrace and balcony space on above ground levels. We're very excited by these. And finally, one day, we'd like to have a children's center on the campus that mirrors the amazing Samuel Goldwyn Foundation Children's Center in West LA that MPTF offers our industry members. No, none of our residents are expecting, but there is abundant data that the intergenerational mingling of young children and seniors has enormous benefits for both of them. And the 2nd floor of this building would house a creative center for our residents, art studios, performance spaces, music rooms, as MPTF continues to emphasize that creativity doesn't end when you turn 65. From a fundraiser's perspective, there are so many rooms, lobbies, buildings, just waiting for names of supporters who want their legacies to the industry remembered in this way. Back to you, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Bob. Yes, many, many great naming opportunities for sure. So it's now, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago that George Clooney and I announced our first big capital and endowment drive, which we set out to raise $350 million and had great success in doing that. And it was a lifesaver. It really came at a very demanding and challenging time for our enterprise, and all of you, our larger family of the community, came through. We're very generous, and we accomplished our goals. We are at another one of those moments. Raising this $300 million, as I said, is essential. It's not an option for us. We must do this in order to be able to ensure there's another 100 years for this organization to be of service to our extended entertainment, movie and television family. What we are looking for, hoping for, wishing for, is that every member of the movie and television community over this next year in which we celebrate our 100th participates. And whether you give 100 pennies or 100 nickels or 100 dimes, $100, $100,000, maybe, please, 100 million from somebody out there. We must hit that goal of $300 million, and 100% participation for our 100th anniversary is how we're going to get there. There are lots of programs that we are rolling out that are going to allow people to participate in so many different ways. My partner in crime, Jim Gianopulos, is here, and I think he's going to share a couple of those with you if I have the running order here right. So Bob, oh, there he is.
Well, thank you, Jeffrey and Bob. And as Jeffrey said, thanks to everyone at the MPTF who worked so hard to serve our industry and make us all so proud of its work. Now, I'm honored to serve as the chairman of the board of directors for the MPTF. I've been involved for 20 years now, ever since Jeffrey invited me to the dedication of the new Ray Stark residences at the home in 2001. At that event, some residents spoke, among them Ethel Wynant, who made an enormous impression on me, and I always talk about Ethel. She was frail and in a wheelchair, but she was still vibrant and wonderful, and she told her story. And she had a long career in television, the first female executive in television as a vice president at CBS. And she said, vice president in those days, that was a big job. And she said, eventually there was a regime change and she was out. She said she understood. She said, that's our business. Tastes change, people change. Without any regret or rancor, she said, I got it. I just didn't think I'd live this long. And from that moment I was in, because I realized how uniquely the nature of our business affects those who work in it and why our support has to be uniquely suited to it. And the careers of creative talent rise and fall routinely in our business, along with changes in popular culture and other factors. And the fact is, careers can soar and wane. As George Clooney said, first you're famous, then you're not, and it's not because of you. So those who work in support with those people are affected as well. Delayed starts of a movie or a television series are very common. Sometimes it's someone like me who's making the decision, or the producers or directors aren't ready, or the script's not finished, or the star is not available, the location is challenged, or sometimes the show actually never gets going. And hundreds of people are counting on that work, and they're affected, and certainly they're not all movie stars. They're people waiting for a paycheck to pay their mortgage and take care of their kids and their families. So other industries and employees have challenges, but I realized ours were to a great extent built into the nature of our business. And that's why I believe this organization is truly the charity of our industry, particularly suited to its needs. And support of the MPTF is an investment in the future, in the health of our industry, in our peers, and in ourselves. It's part of what makes the entertainment industry so special, is this incredible tight-knit community of people working collaboratively to bring magic to audiences everywhere. And we need to support them in their times of need. And supporting the MPTF is also a way for all of us to say thank you to those on whose shoulders we've risen to greater and greater heights, as well as a demonstration that this community is truly a family that takes care of its own. And as Jeffrey said, we need to ensure that we can continue to provide a robust and reliable safety net for the next 100 years. And that's at the heart of this celebration of its centennial and the fundraising effort that you're hearing about. And as Jeffrey said, we're off to a great start. I'd like to share a few upcoming events and opportunities that we're confident will keep the momentum going in achieving that goal of raising $300 million. Now we're finally seeing light at the end of the tunnel following all this isolation we've been forced to endure. And I guess we could all use an excuse to dress up and celebrate, and the 100th anniversary gala is the perfect opportunity to do that while supporting an amazing cause. The gala will be a 2-night event highlighting the best of MPTF's past, as well as a vision for its future, and produced by the highly successful producers Jennifer Todd and Bob Greenblatt. There'll be special performances and appearances, as well as bringing to life the stories of service in the spirit of our annual mission event, Real Stories, Real Lives. The theme will be a celebration of 100 years of MPTF and 100 years of Hollywood. This event will provide an opportunity both to raise awareness, as well as to raise that much needed endowment Jeffrey and Bob spoke of through individual donations and corporate sponsorships. Given the current COVID reality, we're still working out nailing down the date and the venue, but we're aiming for the fourth quarter of this year, and we'll keep everyone posted as we proceed. The second event we have in store is the Auction of the Century, celebrating 100 years of Hollywood. We're planning a historic auction at the end of the year to auction off rare, iconic items from Hollywood. No lover of cinema and its history will want to miss this once-in-a-lifetime event. It's guaranteed to have some truly amazing surprises in store. Film and television lovers and memorabilia collectors everywhere will have the opportunity to participate in it. As you see, in fact, this was from the MPTF's archives, and we found these truly historic gems like payroll pledge cards from Marilyn Monroe and Elvis Presley. So many studios and others involved in our business have archives and memorabilia from the past 100 years of our industry, and we're calling on them to help us make this an incredible auction by donating iconic items that can raise as much money as possible for the MPTF. Now, there's so many items reflecting our rich history, and what better way to celebrate that history than by donating some items to honor and support those who made it. We're really excited about how special and memorable the auction will be. In addition to those 2 great events to show our industry support and open hearts and open wallets, hopefully, to the MPTF, we know that the competitive spirit is part of what drives this industry. And that's why we're setting up a series of fundraising challenges. You know, early in life, as you heard and saw, the MPTF was funded by payroll pledge contributions and donations by employees and movie sets. And while it's not enough to support the extent of the work today, the tradition continues. And I proudly give a portion of my paycheck each month. But more importantly, I encourage all Paramount employees to do the same. Last time I looked, Paramount still holds the lead for the highest percentage of employees participating among all the major studios. And if we get surpassed, we'll take up the challenge. And that's just one example. We want to create fun rivalries and competition between various Hollywood groups to help push participation in our campaign. And as one example, John Wells is encouraging participation among TV showrunners and different shows production teams to challenge each of them to get the highest percentage of participation and funds raised. And we hope to replicate this in other areas of our industry, and we welcome any ideas. But whether by donating, supporting, acting, and getting involved, advocating for MPTF, ideally doing all of the above, we can create a fun competition that could yield some great philanthropic results for the MPTF. So these are just some of the many ways we'll be celebrating the centennial and creating ways to reach our fundraising goal. And we hope we can count on your support along the way. I hope you'll help us get the word out and be part of the next 100 years of the future of MPTF service to our industry and those who work so hard to make the magic happen. So thank you.
Guys, so I just popped in because I want to throw to an amazing video with Jodie Foster. I'm Yvette Nichole Brown, by the way. I love MPTF, as you can see. So we're going to throw to Jodie, and then we'll be back in a second. So we're going to throw to that now.
Hey, everybody. It's Jodie. And I first got to know MPTF. I went to go visit a friend who was having a hard time at the hospital. And it opened up a whole new world to me. I got to know some of the residents, I got to hang out in the community, and I really came to understand what an important mission that is, taking care of our own. That led to the aquatic pavilion, trying to bring wellness to the residents there. I also get involved with Creative Chaos. There's a lot of ways to give back to the community. And the MPTF needs your help, needs you to direct your philanthropy, because this 100-year-old mission means that 100 years old is the new Sweet 16.
I think it's me. First of all, I'm very honored to be here wearing my MPTF 100 t-shirt. As I said before, I'm Yvette Nichole Brown. I'm a member of the NextGen board. I have been proudly a supporter of MPTF for about 7 or 8 years now. It began for me with a simple visit to the campus. I took one tour and met some of the residents and fell in love with everything that MPTF does. The thing that I always say about why it's important for us to play our part is that I think of what we give to MPTF as our tithe, right? We've all worked in this industry. We've all been blessed in 1,000 ways because of this industry. We all have lived through the ups and downs of this industry. So we all understand what it feels like when it's down. And so when you're up, you put your little bit in for the person that's down. And then hopefully if you have your moment, somebody has put a little bit in for you. So what I love about this initiative that we're doing is that there's no one's telling you how much to give. No one's telling you when to give. No one's telling you where to give. We're just saying, please go to the MPTF the website and become a part of the newsletter and just find out what we do. There are 1,000 different ways you can give back. And if you're in a position where you can't give back in money right now, give back in time. Tithes can be used in 1,000 different ways. That's what's great. I promise if you visit the campus, you will fall in love the way that I fell in love, and you will want to find a way to give back. Remember that our time here is limited. This organization is going to go on and on and on, and it's going to bless people for generations and generations and generations. I promise you want some skin in the game. You want to get in on this. So that's my take on this. And this is, again, my t-shirt. And what I love about it is that it's infinite. It keeps going on. So let's all play our part and help to keep this thing going.
Thank you, Yvette. As always, you're the sunshine of all of this. Always are. So we love you, appreciate you. Thank you so much. We have one more partner in crime through the years, been so generous, tireless in his support, and that's George Clooney. And I'm hoping there he is.
I'm here. I'm around.
Hi, George. What part of the world are we finding you in this morning?
I'm in London, sunny London.
Nice. That's good to hear. So what you thinking today?
Well, it's pretty interesting. I like Gianopulos' idea, the challenges. I think that's a very smart thing. I think I'm going to start the sexiest man alive competition. All those guys have to sort of challenge each other on how much money to donate. And I'll talk to Warner Brothers and see if I can get the bat suit donated for the auction, because that was really it's considered one of the great moments in cinema history was my turn in Batman. And I think the best way to do that is, here's the thing I was thinking about. We've been doing this a long time, and Yvette is exactly what you said. She's this ray of sunshine in all of this, but Bob and Jim and Jeffrey, all the hard work that you're doing. We always talk about how we stand on the shoulders of people, and it's absolutely true. But I don't think people necessarily understand it, because you'll say, well, I don't know any of these people. I don't know. I happen to know, Ann Faulkner and Terry Semmel, and, his friends with Helen Reddy. And there's plenty of people that we actually do know, or I do know. But the idea of standing on the shoulders of people means not just that someone helped us directly. It means that they helped, somebody started a union in the late 30s, and somebody stood up for children's rights, and somebody challenged the Hayes Act and all these elements that have changed the way all of us have been allowed to work over the years. And some of them end up, needing some help later on. And sometimes they are as big as Terry Semel, and sometimes they're journeyman actors. But we, for us, I look at it as if, we have this, we feel this obligation now to the people whose shoulders we actually stand on, and say all they want is a place to stay and somebody to help look after them and somebody to love them. And I feel extraordinarily proud to be amongst, the 500 essential workers, when you understand what essential workers really are, which is all of the people that work so hard at the home and are now Oscar winners. All of us, we couldn't be more proud to be a part of this, and feel a great, immense responsibility to make sure that there's somebody out here standing on other people's shoulders celebrating the second 100 years.
Well put, George, and thank you, and appreciate, you and your support here. And, I again just want to emphasize that, the MPTF, is a very large organization, well over $100 million a year in terms of the size and scope and scale of what it does. It is this amazing campus that is sort of the heart of it, but it's so much more. And I just want to make sure that people understand that as important as that place is, I think more and more the social services that we are providing to our community is becoming a bigger, and frankly, more essential part of what it takes in the 21st century to be of service to the 450,000 members of our community. As Bob said, whether it's healthcare, whether it's mental health issues, whether it's a rent check, whether it's a mortgage payment. I mean, there's so many different ways in which we try and be there at that absolute moment of need. And we have been for 100 years, and we will be into the future. So with that, I think we're going to open this up for Q&A. Bob, is that our next? You're on mute.
Yep, video.
Yeah, we have one more thing, and we're going to roll to video from one of the great legacies in our industry.
Hi, I'm Tony Goldwyn, and I wanted to take a minute to share with you just how privileged I feel to be part of the third generation of Goldwyns, along with my brothers John and Peter, to earn my living as a worker in the entertainment industry. 100 years ago, my grandfather Sam Goldwyn helped start the Motion Picture Relief Fund when the industry itself was just in its infancy. And the idea of this unpredictable and often fickle business taking care of its own became a driving passion for my grandpa and my grandmother for their entire lives. And the same applied to my dad, Sam Jr., until he passed away a few years ago. He saw the need for high quality, affordable childcare in this industry. And so he founded the Samuel Goldwyn Children's Center. Later in life, he became acutely aware of the unique mental health needs of elderly folks. So he founded, just before he died, the Samuel Goldwyn Jr. Behavioral Health Clinic at the campus, which is open not just to industry workers, but actually to the community at large. So, these are just examples of how the MPTF has occupied an outsized presence in my family for my entire life growing up. But having now worked in the industry myself for over 30 years, I personally have seen countless times, the life-saving work that MPTF does. I have to say, there's probably not a project that I do where I don't end up in a conversation with at least one crew member who has a story of MPTF showing up for them when they were in a really tough spot, whether it was paying the rent during a dry period, or counseling on substance abuse, or helping to arrange proper care for an elderly parent. The list just goes on and on and on. So the very same principles that made my father and grandfather so passionate about this organization fuel my own commitment to MPTF. And, you know, I really look at celebrating this 100th anniversary as a reaffirmation of our moral obligation to take care of our own. And that is why it's so critically important that we have 100% participation of industry members in fundraising for the incredibly ambitious goals that MPTF has set for itself to sustain the mission for another 100 years. From expanding the social services to creating a second child care center on the campus, on the rebuilt campus, which is going to serve even more families and foster critically important intergenerational bonds between the young kids and the elderly residents. So look, I just want to say on behalf of the entire Goldwyn family, thank you for all you do to take care of our own and for continuing to believe in the mission of MPTF.